What is up, ladies and gentlemen? It is time for the hashtag Lunchtime Live Draft, brought to you by Grid Iron Experts Fantasy Facts Podcast and the one and only Underdog Fantasy Draft app. It is amazing. We're going to do a live draft right here, right now, while I'm on my lunch break. I'm going to try and get in. Maybe I already have one Sunday slate lined up. I'm going to try and get in probably one Thursday night, one tonight as well. And you should totally get in on the action as well. It's that point in the season where your team may be out of the playoffs. I mean, we're heading into week 13. It may not be looking too good for you right now, and that is okay because your fantasy year is not done if you have Underdog Fantasy. All you need to do, go to underdogfantasy.com, sign up with the promo code FAQS, that's FAQS, and we will match up to $100 of your first deposit. That's free money to play with. That can get you into drafts like I'm doing right now. And we just opened up not we, because it's not me, it's them. It's Underdog. They just opened up the wild card, which is the playoff best ball, which is a ton of fun. You get to do a draft for the playoffs, which is outside of the normal realm of fantasy, which makes it just so much fun. All right, we're having a little bit of technical problems on my end here, so I'm not going to be able to show you the draft board that I have going on right now, but I just ended up on the clock, and I got some decisions to make right now. This is a Sunday slate, which means there are quarterbacks out there. There are wide receivers, running backs, and tight ends. And I am going to go with what I think is going to be a couple hot hands here. I'm going to wait on running back, and instead I'm going to go ahead and scoop up right away a wide receiver that I think is going to have a phenomenal week, and that is the one and only Justin Jefferson. I am in the sixth spot of a six-person draft, which means I'm going to go ahead and go again. I am going to, again, focus on wide receiver here because, actually, let me just take a quick little peek screw at our tight ends. And yeah, there's more than enough options at tight end where I'm not going to rush that one. I am going to, I'm looking at Chris Godwin against Atlanta. That's a really good matchup. Mike Evans might be a good one as well, but I'm going to go ahead. I'm going to scoop up Chris Godwin here. And right away, I've locked up my wide receivers. I think I got some of the best options at wide receiver already. Just kind of looking at the board, Cooper Kupp was the number one wide receiver off the board. And then after that, I took the next two with Jefferson and Godwin. I like that setup. I know it puts me at a bit of a disadvantage at running back, but Jonathan Taylor's already off the board. Najee Harris already off the board. Joe Mixon already off the board. I could have gone after a guy like Austin Eckler or Elijah Mitchell, but I just am not fully in love with them, and I'd rather take my shots at wide receiver and get a running back at this next kind of turn that's going to be coming up at that 3-4 turn. Seeing kind of what's left and right off the board, guys that I was like, maybe they'll fall to me. And Madison and Fournette are already being scooped up, which makes things a little bit interesting because you have to start one running back and then you have a flex spot. So there's not a ton of space for multiple running backs. So you don't really get to kind of corner the market at running backs, if you will. So right now we already have the kind of lead team has gotten two running backs. So they're done with running backs. The second team got Leonard Fournette. They may get another running back, may not. Third team, Alexander Madison, may or may not. And then the next two already picked up running backs. So honestly, I could probably wait on running back here until even further because my running backs that are going to be left on the board are still going to be really good options. And so I don't feel like I have to rush right now to go ahead and get my running back, which to me allows me to go with I can get my quarterback and tight end here. And now it's just a matter of who do I kind of want to target. And I think I'm going to go ahead and get Mark Andrews and Kyler Murray. Mark Andrews against Pittsburgh. Pitt is kind of one of those teams where they're known for their defense. Their defense should be getting healthier, but Mark Andrews is pretty much the wide receiving weapon. Yes, they have Bateman. Yes, they have Marquise Brown. Marquise Brown has been doing actually really well, but Mark Andrews is kind of that consistent option for them in Baltimore. I'm going to go ahead and scoop him up there, and then I'm going to go ahead and scoop up Kyler Murray as well in Arizona as my quarterback. And now that leaves me in a situation that I feel pretty comfortable with. And my team right now: Kyler Murray, Justin Jefferson, Chris Godwin, Mark Andrews, and like I said, I feel pretty good about it. I have 2 more picks coming up. One of them will be a running back. I'm aiming for a guy like James Conner to kind of fall back to me here. And I would be perfectly happy with that. That was actually a pretty good one. Antonio Gibson just went off the board in the 4th. So that guy is done with running back. So I literally have only one more person to worry about for running backs, which makes me feel a little bit better about waiting to get my running back here, because, in a perfect situation, there's only going to be 12 running backs coming off the board, which means that as long as I pick well, I'm going to get a top 12 running back, right? And it just comes down to whether or not I pick well. And so even if I wait, sorry about that, slapping my mic around, even if I wait, there's still a possibility that, that somebody in that top 12 bus, I could get somebody in the top 15 and still be all right if the other positions kind of hit, and I'm able to do all right there. So I am 2 picks away. I don't need to worry about quarterback anymore. I only need to look at running back and wide receiver. And I might. No, I don't want to do that. I was going to say I might double up on running backs here, because there is James Conner and Josh Jacobs left out there. I definitely want. I'm definitely looking at James Conner. Darrell Henderson is also out there against Jacksonville. I really like that option as well. I might skip and pass on that. I'm going to go. Henderson did have a little bit of an injury there. I'm going to go ahead. I'm going to scoop up James Conner with Chase Edmonds still out. He's doing just fine. And then my last pick here, I'm going to go with another receiving option against a weak defense, and I'm going to go with Michael Pittman. He had a down week against Buffalo, but other than that, he's getting 9-ish points just in that kind of area. I could use a little bit more upside. Ooh, do I go Tyler Lockett? Ooh, that's a whole lot of upside, but then a whole lot of miss if it doesn't happen. And Geno just did not look good. So I'm going to lock it in. I'm going to go with Michael Pittman. I think that's the kind of safer option there. And with that flex, should have my team pretty locked up in a way that I feel confident about. So with that, we have quarterback Kyler Murray going up against Chicago. A little bit of injury question there, but definitely a guy that, if he's healthy, can do a whole lot. James Conner again against Chicago. I do not trust Chicago. I think this is a game where Arizona kind of comes in and rolls Chicago over. And to be able to pair, I know it's not a typical stack, quarterback and running back, but I do think that these two will both be able to have good games. For wide receiver, Justin Jefferson was my first pick. Second pick was Chris Godwin. I think both of those are going to be really good options, and against really poor defenses in Detroit and Atlanta. Minnesota playing Detroit, Jefferson getting Detroit, and Godwin going up against the Falcons. Followed that trend with my third wide receiver, Michael Pittman, going up against the Houston Texans. The thing that could kind of bite me here is that none of the defenses that they're going against also have offenses that can't really score that many points. So Atlanta has a little bit more pop now that they have Cordarrelle Patterson back, but the fear is that those offenses are just as bad as the defenses, and teams like Minnesota, teams like Minnesota, Tampa Bay, Indy, they just annihilate those teams, and it's a shutout way too fast. And the wide receivers don't get as much work because when you're up, you typically run the ball a little bit more. So a little bit of fear there, but I think that the upside of them being able to take advantage of a weak defense outweighs that for me. And then wrapping up the positions with tight end Mark Andrews. Again, I think it's a pretty good look for me right now. I think my team looks pretty decent. Let's just take a peek. I want to see what I kind of hate the projections, but I do want to see. I want to see what I want to see where kind of everybody kind of ranked out. So where actually, you know what? Before I do that, let me make sure I get into this 3-person draft. I'm going to do a 3-person draft for tonight's game. And I'm going to see if I can pull it up on my phone real quick. The rankings for it. Like I said, I kind of hate the projections, but it's always fun to take a peek to see where those projections kind of end up. So let's take a little peek-scaroo here. All right, I am right in the middle of the pack. There's 4 teams. I'm the 4th team above 90, and then the remaining teams below 90. And the team that they have projected to be the highest, they did a similar quarterback running back stack of Brady and Fournette. Fournette is probably not going to get another 40-point game, but stands a chance to do damage against Atlanta. So not a bad pickup there. Cooper Kupp, Adam Thielen, and Deontay Johnson. So again, similar type of tactic here, trying to pinpoint those weak matchups with the Rams playing against the Jags, as well as Minnesota playing against defense. Detroit, they got the other half of that wide receiving core there. So it looks like I just jumped into that 3-person pick a little bit late there because I am sitting waiting. And let's see here if there's another game that we can make happen a little bit quicker. Those are NBA games. I do not want to jump into those. I want to jump into one of these Thursday night games, see if we can make something happen really quick. So some matchups that may be, kind of maybe worth added attention in terms of fantasy production. I kind of mentioned that Minnesota Detroit game. I definitely think there's going to be a lot to take advantage of with Minnesota, being able to score against them. The Lions, in points allowed, they look pretty good, but that's only because the teams are able to do a lot of whatever they want kind of against them. A really interesting game is the Colts and Texans game. The Texans can't stop anyone pretty much anywhere. And the Colts are allowing points to quarterbacks and wide receivers, which may end up being a fairly easy, I don't want to say easy, but a fairly decent game for Brandon Cooks, who's kind of the bright spot for the Texans. So that's another interesting game to keep an eye out for. Another kind of more DFS type of play here that you may be able to take advantage of is the Giants versus the Dolphins. The Dolphins are better against running backs than they are against like quarterbacks and wide receivers. And so maybe this is a Daniel Jones game. I don't really want to put too much faith in it, but it does sound like Kadarius Toney is coming back, which may be an option come, if you're on Underdog doing a couple pick'ems. If you're in a Sunday tournament, Kadarius Toney may be a nice late round draft pick to be able to scoop up there. Let's see, the Cowboys Saints game. That's why I want to make sure I get in. And it just filled up, so it'll be starting soon. Wanted to definitely get into one on the air with everybody. the Cowboys and Saints game because the Cowboys defense is a very middle of the pack defense, which is actually an upgrade, I would say, versus what people kind of thought that defense would come out and be. So, and as a Cowboys fan, I'm happy about that. I think they're going to I hope they can kind of continue getting better and better. And the Saints have been kind of a banged up defense, allowing points to quarterbacks and wide receivers, not allowing many points to the running back, which makes me a little bit nervous about Zeke tonight, especially with some of the injury concerns that he has. I do not trust Jerry Jones. When Jerry Jones comes out and says that Zeke's going to be used more than ever before, I know Jerry has a powerful position on this Cowboys team, but I hope it's not to that extent. I think it's just Jerry kind of talking a lot more about just talking more than actually knowing kind of what's going to happen there. So we're firing up this Thursday night draft. I'm excited for it. I'm going out to the bar to watch it. You guys should definitely, if you imbibe, go ahead and do so while watching this game. I think it's going to be a good one. I'm given a gift here with the second pick. Zeke went with the 101. I'm up with the 102, and that gives me CeeDee Lamb right off the bat. Again, I'm a little bit nervous about Zeke. I may be scooping up Pollard in depending on the second or third round, how it shakes up. I may be scooping up Pollard as an option here. One, because he is involved in that team. Regardless of Zeke's kind of health, he does get some involvement, and that involvement can lead to good things. If Zeke has any type of issues, then having Pollard there really helps out and will, that can become kind of my access to a win right here. And Mark Ingram just went off the board, which is actually it's a good pickup. I think I got Ingram either second or third in an earlier draft that I did, but no Kamara, which is definitely promising for him. I am going to go ahead and scoop up Pollard here with this pick. And again, like, I do not believe the Pollard over Zeke hot to take. I am not in that camp, but if Zeke is dealing with a knee bruise, which it sounds like, then Pollard getting some additional reps is something that I could definitely see happening. And I think we're getting to that point in the draft. Dalton Schultz went off the board pretty early here. Mark Ingram went off the board. I said at 2-1. At 2-2, I took Pollard. At 2-3, Traquan Smith went off the board. At 3-1, it's going to be interesting to see. Amari Cooper just went off the board. So now that I have a little bit of upside, I have a question to answer in do I go with a guy like Deontay Harris, who has a little more upside? Do I go with a guy like Marquez Callaway, who hasn't been able to do a ton with his work, but has been able to he's a pretty consistent 4 targets. Juwan Johnson, and I'm not even going to look at him anymore. And since my time's running up, I'm going to go ahead and scoop up Marquez Callaway here. I want what I think will be the top option receiving for the Saints. And if that means that I get Michael Gallup kind of in this 4th round, I am super happy about it. If not, I'm looking for an option like Tony Jones. He did not do a ton, but he did do, kind of enough. I may also go with a guy like Ty Montgomery. It's a possibility that they're going to, it's a possibility. I think the Saints are going to be down in this game. So it's a possibility that they're going to be throwing the ball a little bit more. And Ty Johnson has the ability to kind of scoop up a bit of those, extra pass plays and dump offs. Let's see. I'm going to go with Tony Jones, though. I think with Kamara kind of, not Kamara being out and Ingram kind of filling in, I think Tony Jones, he had 16 attempts against Buffalo. Granted, they only went for 27 yards, but Buffalo has a really stingy defense. So I'm going to go ahead and scoop Tony Jones here, hoping that he gets a similar type of workload and can actually produce something with it. And I mean, at that point, there's not really much that's just intriguing out there. You have Juwan Johnson, Noah Brown, Little Jordan Humphrey, Nick Vannett, Sean McKeon, Kenny Stills. Like you're in dire straits once you get to the end of this fourth round, which is why you pretty much only do these 3-person single game drafts. And so my team, again, I feel really good about it. I have CeeDee Lamb, Tony Pollard. I think they're going to lead the Cowboys in terms of in terms of fantasy points. Outside of Dak, you can't choose Dak. But I think depending on what happens with Zeke, Tony Pollard is either going to be the second best running back or the best running back, probably in the game. I think he can outpace Mark Ingram. And CeeDee Lamb, I think, is by far the best wide receiver in the game. It definitely depends on what happens with Cooper. He is technically questionable right now. It sounds like he will play, but who knows which Cooper we're going to get. Are we going to get week 1 Cooper, who had like 30 points? Are we going to get take your pick of any of the weeks in the middle where he scored like 5 points? So I do like CeeDee Lamb a lot in this matchup. And then Marquez Callaway and Tony Jones are my kind of New Orleans picks because somebody on that side of the ball is going to have to get points. And Marquez Callaway, I probably could have gone Gallup there and still been all right with that pick. And then Tony Jones is just a lotto ticket at the end. Again, got plenty of work. It's a matter of whether or not he can actually produce anything with that work moving forward. And there you have it, folks. You got two live drafts happening. I wish I could have shared the screen. Unfortunately, a little bit of computer issues on my personal laptop. Even I relaunched Chrome. I did a Chrome. I restarted you. You still didn't help out. That's why we're a little late today, but it's all right. We still got 2 #lunchtime live drafts in today. Make sure you check out GX Fantasy Facts on the Twitters. Check me out on Twitter at FFTheAtHomeDad. And definitely be sure to check out at Underdog Fantasy. They're my favorite fantasy app right now because you can do drafts, which is so much fun. It's part of the best part probably of fantasy football. And they also have pick'ems in there. I'll probably do a few of those at the bar tonight before we get settled. That allow me to say, over or under how many passing completions Dak will have, over or under how many rushing attempts will Zeke have, or one of my personal favorites, the rivalries, where I get to choose player A versus player B and who's going to get more rushing yards and more receiving yards and more total yards. And it's a ton of fun. You can mix and match them. The more you put together, the more you win. You can do up to 5 for times 20 of what you put in. So a $5 bet could turn into 100. Check it out only at Underdog Fantasy, underdogfantasy.com. Again, use the promo code FACTS. We'll match up to $100. Until then, catch you on the flip side.